Hi everyone, it's Anant. Welcome back. In this video, I am talking about looping in PowerShell. What are loops and how we can use it in PowerShell? What is loops? Loops are fundamental concept in programming. It's like taking a block of instructions or a code and repeat them over and over again. This is very useful when we need to do the same thing to a bunch of stuff, and it saves a lot of time and effort. In the loop, we tell the loop how many times we want to repeat or what collection of things it should work on. So there is a part of code that gets repeated, and there is a condition to met if loop needs to repeat the instruction. In PowerShell, we have for loop, for each loop, while, do while. Let's see each of them in detail. For each commandlet in PowerShell is used to iterate, repeat through a collection of objects, and automate tasks on each item. For an example, we have created a variable computer name, and it has these two object lab01, lab02, and it creates an array. For each goes through this array and then runs this command get ad computer on each of the object. So if I run this command, I'll get output for lab01 and lab02 computer. If you notice here, the get ad computer command is an active directory commandlet. So in my active directory environment, I have two computer lab01 and lab02. So if you want to test this command get ad computer, you should make sure you are on active directory module and in your active directory environment this computer name exists. Otherwise you will receive an error. We have seen for each loop is ideal for collection of objects. We can use for loop when we know exactly how many times we want to repeat a code of block. So in this example, when we use for loop, we define the condition. So we initialize a variable and then we have set a condition and then we have incremented the variable, and in this piece of in the body of the code we can repeat the instructions until this condition is true. So let's simplify our code. Uh, so we have set the variable I equals to 1, and then the condition variable I is less than 5, and then variable I will increment every time we run through this code. And in the body, we can just write output, count variable I. Let's run this code. And then we have this output. Let's look at do loop. So we have do until and do while. In do until, The code runs while the condition is not true. In do while, the code runs while condition is true. So let's look at the examples. In this example, we are setting up a random variable which is taking a number from get random commandlet and in between 10 and 1. Inside the code, we have to guess a number and the read host will prompt us to enter a number on terminal, and then if else condition checks if the guess number is equals to less than and greater than to the number that we get from the get random commandlet, and it puts the output on terminal too high too low in until the condition while guess is not equal to the number that we get from the get random commandlet. This code will continue to run. So let's run this code. So terminal is asking me to enter a number, and I'm expecting when I enter the number, this guess number will be compared with the number from the get random commandlet, and if both the number is equal, the code will stop running. If the guess number is not equal to the random number, the code will continue to run. So if I enter 3, it says too high and then code continues to run. So in this condition, this until condition was not true. So while this condition is not true, this code will continue to run. Do while is just opposite. So this code will run until this condition while this condition is true. Similar to do while loop, a while loop runs while the condition is true. In this example, this piece of code will run while this condition is true. So if we are setting a variable counter equals to 1, and if this variable counter is less than 5, this piece of code in the body will run. So it will write host on terminal and then it will increment the number. So let's run this code, and we have an output number is 1 2 3 4 5. On the last repeat, when this counter becomes 6 and this condition is not true, at that point of time this code stops running. Let's look at how do we use break, continue and return in loop. So for example, in this piece of code, if we run this while loop until we have a number which is not less than and equal to 10, it gives me an output. When we insert a break, so if we insert if statement, if I is equals to 5, exit of this loop, then this loop will stop at that point of time. Why we should use break, continue and return? In programming language, also in PowerShell, we use these keywords to control the flow of execution within loops. It can be used within functions and scripts as well. By using this keyword, we can increase the efficiency of our code. So if we don't want to process the unnecessary part of the code, unnecessary part of the execution, we can have a clarity when we place, break, continue, and return. Let's look at the example of continue. So if I run this code without continue keyword, so on this number which is from 1 to 10, and it's giving me all the output from number 1 to 10. And when we insert the continue keyword, so what we are doing here on this if statement, if number is even number, it will skip that part of the iteration. So when I run this code again, we get only the odd number. So what is the difference between break and continue keyword? The break statement will cause the loop to exit on the first iteration. When we use continue, the execution continues with the next iteration instead of breaking out of the loop and stopping. When we use return, the code will exit out of the existing scope. So return will output the first result and then exit out of the loop. So if I run this piece of command, when I run this code, it gives me the first output, which is 4. So for each the number n in the list from 1 to 10, if number is greater and equal to 4, then it returns the value of n, and that value is 4. I hope you liked the video. Please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. See you again.